10 months they can destroy our country. And you probably heard me say, if you took the 10 worst presidents, I used to say the 5, and then I realized the 5 don't even come close. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country, the 10 worst, you added them up, they won't have they couldn't have done the damage that this guy has done to our country. And remember, you know, MAGA is the greatest, probably the greatest ever in politics, but I was going to put it CAG. I'm glad I didn't do that, actually, CAG. Keep America Great. But then I realized America's not great. I can't use it. America's not great right now. We're going to make it great. We're going to make it better than ever before. But right now, we're a laughingstock all over the world. So this election is our last chance to save America. The battle begins in Iowa. It begins right here. First in the nation, it begins right here in Iowa on January 15th, and Joe Biden's banana republic ends on November 5th, 2024. That's what it is. And with your help, we're going to bring back our country. We're going to bring it back from hell, because this country has been in hell, what they've done. And they ought to, you know what they ought to do? They ought to release the J6 hostages. They've suffered enough. They ought to release them. I call them hostages. Some people call them prisoners. I call them hostages. Release the J6 hostages, Joe. Release them, Joe. You can do it real easy, Joe. This guy, what he's done to people. And Antifa knocks the hell out of Portland, takes over parts of Seattle, destroys Minneapolis. If I didn't send in the soldiers, Minneapolis, you wouldn't even have Minneapolis, right? Because the governor wouldn't do anything. I'm not even supposed to do that. I had no choice. 7 days in, I sent him in. The place was burning down. They took over the police station. The police weren't allowed to do their jobs. We got to allow the police to do their jobs, so we're going to indemnify the police against liability, and you'll stop crime. Remember that CNN guy? He's up. This is really a friendly protest. Remember that? Minneapolis. This is a friendly protest. And right behind him, the whole city was burning to the ground. Do you remember that? As far as the eye could see, it was all flames. And I mean, all massive. It looked the biggest fire I've ever seen. And he said, oh, this is CNN. That's right, CNN. This has been a friendly protest. Friendly. No, it's one of the greatest scenes in the history of television, as he's calling. And behind it, I don't mean like there's a little smoke. The whole place was in flames. It was crazy. No, they're really bad. But victory cannot come soon enough. As we speak, the last remnants of our open and broken borders are crumbling into rubble as millions and millions of people storm into the United States in the largest illegal mass migration in the history of the world. There's never been a migration like this. Millions and millions of people. It'll be 15 or 16 million people by the end of this guy's term. And I'm not even sure he understands. You know, he's not a smart guy. I never used to talk this way about him. I talk very badly about him now because he indicted me 4 times. That means everything's off, right? He has this guy, Jack Smith. He's a deranged human being. He's a nut job. I have him. And he's being investigated on boxes. He did real stuff because he wasn't protected by the Presidential Records Act. But I have Jack Smith, deranged Jack Smith, I call him, and he's all over the place, trying to frighten people, trying to scare people. And he has a very bad record. You know why? Because he always goes too far. He goes so far, and he's got a bad record, lost before the Supreme Court a couple of times. But a record 300,000 illegal aliens were detected crossing the borders in December. Well, think of that, 300,000. That's bigger than almost any city you have in your state. Iowa has, I don't know, how many people in Des Moines? How many people does Des Moines have? What is it? 100,000. Got to be bigger than that. He said 200, whatever. 300,000 came in like in the last couple of months. 300,000. We have no idea. I say from parts unknown. It's from parts unknown. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 300,000 people from parts unknown. They have languages that we don't even have people that know what the languages are. So it's rough stuff what they're doing to our country, but we're going to turn it around. Under the Trump administration, we have the most secure border in U.S. history. We built 561 miles of border wall. You know, I tell people, because they like to say we did 50 miles. Okay, 50 miles when? The first week? So if we have a 2x4 laying on the ground, and over there that's 50 years old and rotted, just sort of decayed, and just, you know, maybe it was a little bit of a tiny wall or something, which we throw away and start the new wall. We go down 8 feet. We go up 30 feet and 40 feet. But if there's a little piece of steel that's 50 years old that's rotted, laying on the ground, they say, he didn't build a wall there. That was just a renovation. These people are sick. And you do. You have garbage laying up and down the border. Anytime you had anything, if it was a piece of paper laying, they say it was a renovation because they don't want you. We did an unbelievable job. The reason our numbers are so good are that. And, of course, I got 28,000 soldiers free of charge from Mexico. Not easy to get. When I went to the president, I said, you have to give us 28,000 soldiers while we're building the wall. And remember when I used to say Mexico will pay for pieces of the wall, but you can't do it legally. It's a little hard for them to pay for a wall that we own. You know, it's not that easy. But there was no real legal mechanism. But there was a mechanism where they could pay for soldiers. So I want 28,000 soldiers on the border. I want a remain in Mexico policy. I got all this stuff. And I got it despite the State Department, everyone else telling me you can't get it. A woman at the State Department was terrific, but she was not a good negotiator. She said, sir, you can't get free soldiers from Mexico. We've been asking them for years. They won't do it. I said, yes, they will. 100% they'll do it. 100%. And as far as catch and release, you know, catch and release meant we release them into our country. We had a new definition. Catch and release, we release them into Mexico. Slight difference, slight difference. And then we had remain in Mexico. Remember Tijuana? Tijuana, over about a 2-week period, became like the largest city in the world. I'm only kidding when I say, I have to be very careful because when I say something like that and I'm sarcastic, they say, he called Tijuana the largest city. And Seoul is larger. And Beijing is larger, you know. If you're a little sarcastic with these characters, they say, he lied, we're giving him a Pinocchio, you know, Pinocchio, 4 stars. Because I said Tijuana, but Tijuana became a massive mess because they had hundreds of thousands of people there that we wouldn't allow into the country. Biden ended that. It wasn't easy to get. And I was very tough with Mexico. I said, you know, you do this. And by the way, Mexico now is asking for $5 billion if we want them to help us keep people out of our country. Can you? They would never have done that with me. I said, look, if you don't do it, because they had a representative come in, I said, if you don't do that, and he was a handsome guy, came in, and I really do. I like the president of Mexico. He's great, great guy. He's a socialist. But what the hell can you do? You can't have them all, right? But he's a great guy. And he sent his top negotiator, his top representative, came in, very handsome, suave guy, beautifully dressed. I remember how good I was going to ask him for his tailor, but I didn't feel like going to Mexico to get a suit. It wasn't worthwhile to go to Mexico to get a suit. But very suave guy. And I said, we need 28,000 soldiers, and you're going to have to pay for them. No, no, no. He looks laughing. Oh, no, we won't do it. Oh, yes, you will. No, you will do it. 100%. You're going to do it. No, no, we're not going to do it. Yes, you will. You will do it. Just, you'll do it. And he didn't know what was going on. Then I said, we want remain in Mexico. Everybody that's at the border is going to remain in Mexico. And did we create a mess there? Because Tijuana and these cities along the border they had a lot of people. And no, no, we won't do that. We can't allow that. We're not equipped for that. I said, yes, you are. You're going to do it. And then we had other things, including our title program, where we had, you know, if sick people are sick, we don't want them in our country. We don't want them in our country. So he said, no, no, no. I said, yes, 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 you're going to do it. Don't worry about it. He said, we will not do it. You're going to do it. 100% you're going to do it. I said, here's the story. In front of me, I have a piece of paper that I actually signed. On Monday morning, this was Friday afternoon, on Monday morning, we're going to charge every piece of equipment, every car that you took out of the United States. You know, they took out 32% of our business. They make them in Mexico. They have some of the largest auto plants in the world. They stole them from our stupid people. Our stupid, I hate to say it because, again, I have a lot of respect for a president, but our presidents were very stupid when they allowed this to happen. 32% of our automobile business was taken out of our country and is in Mexico. So they send massive numbers, millions of cars into our country. I said, we're going to charge you 25% on every car that comes into our country and 25% on every item. And in 2 months, it goes to 50%. And in 2 months after that, it goes to 75%. And maybe I'll stop at 75%. And he goes, no, 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 no. And he said, may I be excused? May I make a phone call? And he comes back. I say, but make it quick if you would. I have to get out of here. And I tell you, I really impressed the woman at the State Department, because she was a good woman. But she said, I can't believe this, because all these things, and I asked Tom Homan, I asked Brandon Judd, they're great guys, by the way. All they had to do was let them do their jobs. This guy would go to the beach. If he didn't tell him to do it, if he went to the beach, that little chair that he holds up, of course, it's like 3 ounces, right? A child can, they're meant for children to lift them for the grandfather, right? He can't lift them. Did you see how he couldn't get it out of the sand? The thing weighs like 6 ounces, I guess. And if he would have gone to the beach, because somebody in his campaign said, you look really good in a bathing suit. You know, when you're 82, or whatever the hell he is, I know a lot of people, by the way, in their 80s, that the sharpest people. I know a friend of mine became a billionaire from, he never quite made it. And then he hit big from 80 to 90. He became worth billions of dollars. You can be, this is not an age thing. This is something else is going on up there with this guy. But all he had to do is leave it alone. He could have gone to the beach. If he would have gone to the beach and left everything alone, he would have had the safest border in history. But he decided to end everything that we were doing. He wouldn't even put up the planks, the panels of wall. We had bought them, 200 miles of wall. He sold them, I understand, for 5 cents on the dollar. It's expensive stuff because it's rebar. It's what they wanted. It's rebar, concrete, and steel on the outside. And it's really a sad thing. I will tell you, it's really a sad thing. We had the greatest border. We had the greatest border in history, and now we have the worst border in the history of the world. No place in the world. But Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and the rest have never will. They're never going to be into securing the border because they're globalists. They want the globe. They like the globe, and they believe it. Maybe they're right. I don't think they're right. I think I've proven they're not right. And we want to protect America, and we'll help people, but we want to protect America. We've got $35 trillion in debt. You know, that debt, we were going to be drilling like crazy, and we were already became #1. We went from #4 to #1 in a period of short period of time.